Is your cardio workout secretly eating away your hard-earned muscle? Maybe you smash a brutal HIIT workout, then wonder why your legs feel flat instead of powerful. Or you grind through long cardio workouts, scared that too much cardio means less size in the mirror. What if I told you there's a way to keep most of the benefits you chase from a tough HIIT workout, still enjoy a good cardio workout, and at the same time actually protect your muscle? That's exactly what Zone 2 training is about. Today, I'm going to walk you through a simple, science-based way to use Zone 2 training so you can build real endurance without sacrificing muscle mass. You'll learn what Zone 2 actually is, why training at roughly 60 to 70% of your max heart rate is such a powerful sweet spot for fat burning and aerobic fitness, and how to plug it into your week so it works alongside your strength work instead of against it. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to structure your Zone 2 training so you can get fitter, last longer in every workout, and still look like you lift. So let's unpack what Zone 2 training actually is and why it's so different from just hammering another HIIT workout or random cardio workout. When we talk about zones, we're really talking about how hard your heart is working compared with its max. Zone 2 usually sits at about 60 to 70% of your max heart rate. At this level, your breathing is noticeable but controlled, you can still speak in full sentences, and you feel like you could keep going for quite a while. Physiologically, this is where your body is relying heavily on oxygen to produce energy, and it prefers burning fat as a fuel source rather than constantly dipping into muscle glycogen. Here's the key point. Zone 2 is intense enough to stimulate your cardiovascular system and your mitochondria, those tiny power plants inside your muscle cells, but not so intense that it creates a huge recovery cost or starts breaking you down. Over time, steady endurance training in this zone increases mitochondrial density and improves how efficiently your body uses oxygen, which shows up in improvements in your VO2 max and general stamina. Compare that to a very hard HIIT workout. High-intensity intervals are fantastic when used properly, but they spike your heart rate close to its max, flood your system with lactate, and place a big stress on your nervous system and muscles. That's great for performance in short bursts, but if your week is only packed with all-out intervals and heavy lifting, your recovery budget gets stretched thin. That's when people start to feel run down, flat in the gym, and worried that their cardio workout is stealing gains.
Zone 2 training, on the other hand, builds that aerobic engine room underneath your lifting. It helps you recover faster between sets, handle more volume in your sessions, and tap into fat for fuel more easily, all while keeping the stress low enough that you can still prioritize strength and muscle. This is how you do cardio without losing muscle. You're training smart, not just training hard. Get this foundation right, and suddenly your heavy leg days, your conditioning sessions, even your occasional killer HIIT workout all feel more manageable because your base fitness is so much higher. Zone 2 becomes the quiet work in the background that makes everything else better. Now that you know why Zone 2 training matters, let's make it practical. How do you actually find your own Zone 2 so you're not just guessing every cardio workout? First, we need a rough idea of your maximum heart rate. A simple estimate is max heart rate approximately 220 minus your age. So if you're 30 years old, 220 minus 30 equals 190 beats per minute as an estimated max. Zone 2 is roughly 60 to 70% of that number. That's about 114 to 133 BPM. You don't need to obsess over a single perfect number. Think of it more as a range where the effort feels steady, sustainable, and almost a little too easy at the start of the session. That's normal. Zone 2 is not meant to feel like a HIIT workout. On top of the maths, you've got a very useful built-in tool, the talk test. Research-backed guidelines describe moderate intensity exercise as the level where you can still talk in full sentences, but you wouldn't comfortably sing. That's pretty much how Zone 2 should feel. You're breathing more deeply than at rest, you can carry a normal conversation, but if someone asks you to read out a long paragraph, you'd feel a bit short of breath. If you're gasping, only able to get out a couple of words, or your legs feel like they do in an all-out HIIT workout, you've pushed beyond Zone 2. If you can chat endlessly and barely feel like you're doing a cardio workout at all, you're probably too low and drifting toward easy walking. To make this easy in real life, use tools you might already have. A smartwatch or a fitness tracker that shows heart rate in real time. Most modern devices will even show zones on the screen. A chest strap if you want more accuracy, especially for longer endurance training sessions. Or simply the talk test, plus your sense of effort on a scale of 1 to 10, where Zone 2 usually feels like a 3 or 4. You're working, but you could hold it for a good while. Once you've combined the numbers, the talk test, and how your body feels, you'll quickly get a feel for your personal Zone 2. Then, every time you head out for a run, a ride, or a steady-state cardio workout, you know roughly where your heart rate and breathing should sit to stay in that muscle-friendly sweet spot. Now let's talk about what Zone 2 training actually does for your body, beyond just feeling fitter. This is where the science gets exciting, especially if you care about performance and looking muscular. First big benefit, VO2 max. VO2 max is basically how much oxygen your body can use during hard exercise. Think of it as your engine size. Regular, moderate intensity work around that 60 to 70% of max heart rate has been shown to improve aerobic capacity and cardiorespiratory fitness, especially when you're consistent week after week. You might notice this in simple ways. Climbing stairs feels easier, your sets of squats don't leave you gasping, and you recover faster between hard efforts and even between heavy sets.
Under the hood, one of the reasons for that is mitochondrial density. Zone 2 style endurance training encourages your body to build and upgrade those tiny power stations in your muscle cells. Research on moderate intensity continuous exercise shows increases in mitochondrial content and better mitochondrial function. In plain language, your muscles get better at turning oxygen and nutrients into usable energy. That means you can do more work before you fatigue without needing every session to feel like a brutal HIIT workout. Then there's fat oxidation, your ability to burn fat as a fuel. Studies on low-intensity, steady-state cardio show that working in this zone shifts your body toward using fat more efficiently, improving metabolic flexibility and supporting long-term health. For you, that means your steady cardio workouts are not just burning calories in the moment. They're training your metabolism to rely less on carbs all the time and more on stored fat, which pairs nicely with any fat loss phase you might do later. And what about the big fear? Cardio without losing muscle. Is that actually possible? The good news is that lower intensity, steady work like Zone 2 tends to create far less interference with strength and hypertrophy than frequent all-out intervals. Reviews on concurrent training and practical coaching guidelines highlight that low-intensity, steady-state cardio is generally friendly to muscle, especially when total volume and timing are managed well. You're getting that heart health, fat-burning, VO2 max boosting effect without constantly hammering the same fast-twitch fibers you rely on for heavy lifting. So when you look at it as a whole, Zone 2 training is like a quiet upgrade running in the background. Better aerobic engine, more and healthier mitochondria, improved fat burning, and a style of conditioning that supports, rather than sabotages, your muscle-building work. Let's pull this all together into something you can actually follow next week. If you're lifting and you still want to protect muscle while building serious endurance, think of Zone 2 training as a calm, focused block inside your week, not just another random cardio workout you throw in when you feel guilty. Here's a simple structure that lines up with general health guidelines of around 150 minutes of moderate intensity aerobic work per week. Aim for 2 to 3 Zone 2 sessions, each about 45 to 60 minutes long. That puts you in the sweet spot that many coaches and articles suggest for improving endurance and mitochondrial health, without wrecking recovery. Enough volume to matter, but not so much that it feels like a part-time job. If you're newer to structured endurance training, start on the conservative side, maybe 2 sessions of 30 to 40 minutes, then gradually push them towards the 45 to 60-minute range. More advanced trainees who've been doing cardio workouts for years might eventually build up a bit higher, but you don't need monster sessions to see clear improvements in stamina and even VO2 max. Now, how do you slot this around your lifting? The big principle from concurrent training research is heavy strength work gets priority, and conditioning should fit around it, not compete with it. A simple, muscle-friendly layout might look like this. Strength days on, say Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Zone 2 on 2 of the
in between days like Tuesday and Saturday. Or if you need to do both on the same day, lift first, then do zone 2 later in the day or as a very easy finisher, keeping that zone honest and not letting it drift into a sneaky HIIT workout. For activities, keep it straightforward and sustainable. Running, cycling, and swimming are classics for a reason, but brisk walking, rowing, or even an elliptical can work brilliantly too. Pick something your joints tolerate and your mind doesn't hate. If you're doing lots of heavy squats and deadlifts, a low-impact option like cycling or brisk walking on a slight incline can be kinder to your knees than pounding out long runs.
A few common mistakes to avoid. Going too hard. This is the big one. If your Zone 2 cardio workout feels like a race, heart rate is sky high and you're gasping, you've turned it into threshold work or an accidental HIIT workout. That steals recovery from your lifting and misses the whole point. Zone 2 should feel steady, almost a bit underwhelming at first. Random scheduling. Cramming Zone 2 in anywhere, especially right before a heavy lower body session, is a good way to feel flat and sluggish under the bar. Anchor your strength days first, then place Zone 2 where it supports them. Too much, too soon. Jumping from 0 cardio to 4 long sessions a week is a fast track to sore joints and constant fatigue. Build volume slowly. Add 5 to 10 minutes to one session at a time, or add a third shorter session later. Neglecting progression. Even though Zone 2 is easy, you still want a sense of progress over the months, a slightly faster pace at the same heart rate, or a longer duration that still feels comfortable. That's your body telling you the aerobic system is leveling up while your muscle stays intact. If you treat Zone 2 training as a planned, repeatable part of your week, with the right duration, the right intensity, and smart timing along with your lifting, you get exactly what you're after. Cardio without losing muscle, a bigger engine under the hood, and better performance everywhere from the gym floor to daily life. So, to wrap it up, here's the big picture. Zone 2 training is not just more cardio. It is a smart way to build a bigger aerobic engine, support VO2 max, and improve your health while still keeping the strength and size you have worked so hard for. When you keep most of your easy and steady work in Zone 2, your heavy lifting sessions feel better, your recovery improves, and you finally get that feeling of being both fit and strong. Real cardio without losing muscle. If this helped you see your cardio workouts and the occasional HIIT workout in a new light, hit subscribe and stick around. I will be breaking down more science-based strategies on how to lift smarter, condition better, and program your endurance training so that every session has a clear purpose. That way, you are not just training harder, you are training intelligently for the long term.